Hey everybody, Scoots here, and if you've been listening to Sleep With Me for longer than a year, you probably know me pretty well. You probably develop preferences about the show, favorites, maybe you build your own playlist in your podcast app. Maybe you've kind of, I'm a part of your life. I'm a part of your routine, and I'm hoping if you've been listening over a year, this is the time you're listening to me and hearing me right now, and you're not changing your mind about supporting the show, but realizing, hey, I haven't listened. Holy cow, how have I not supported this podcast? How have I not at least tested out Sleep With Me Plus? Because it's built with long-term listeners in mind. If you've never supported the show or you stopped and you're thinking about coming back, maybe like Timothy said, Scoots, I'm a full-time caregiver and, person I care for, and I discovered the podcast, and we love listening to the ad-free content. Or John that said, I see and feel how much you love doing this podcast as your vocation. I'm going to help do my part to keep that a reality. So can you take part in this too? Now, if you decided you're not going to support the show or you're not in a position, you could still root with me. This is like the closest thing to Sleep With Me sports. We're rooting that there is someone listening. Maybe it's you. Maybe can you feel all those other listeners rooting for you? Or are you doing the rooting and saying, yeah, I've been listening 4 years. I've been listening 2 years. It is time for me to support the show. Well, we're rooting for you, and I hope you're hearing me. I hope you're listening. And if you're not the person I'm talking to, I hope you're rooting with me that person is hearing me. Because we really could use your support. And you could do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. And here's the thing. There's a 7-day trial, so you could cancel after 6 days if it doesn't meet your expectations. But if you've been listening over a year, I need you to either root for that person, or maybe you are that person that's going to support the show right now at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Hey everybody, this is Scoots with a little update. We're running these Willy Wonka recap episodes in lieu of some newer TV show recap episodes, and that's just in solidarity with the strike. It's a really old movie, and we have a whole season of one TV show recorded, TV recap cooking show recorded, but it's on a platform, and right now I want to show solidarity with the performers and the writers who are on strike. So I'm not going to put those episodes out until the strike ends. And we also have a couple Patreon, a movie that's on a platform exclusively. So this older movie will come out in 2 forms. And then after that, I have plans for some stuff. So don't worry, there'll be recap-esque episodes coming out. And, there'll also be a link in our show notes where you could show your solidarity or, take action to support the SAG and WGA and to show solidarity with other workers out there. So just a little FYI, episodes are still going to come out, and we'll still have recap style episodes. It'll just be a little bit different for the time being. So yeah, that's a little update from Scoots. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who's here. You wouldn't say, you'd say, I'm not a wonk. Though if I don't know, I've heard this. This is one of the many words I don't understand the definition. They say I'm a policy wonk, and I'd say I'm not even a candy wonk. I don't know what a wonk is. I know what I know what Willy Wonka. I don't even, honestly, I wouldn't even know where to go to get some Wonka candy. Probably the grocery store. Another thing to get, put on my, I guess, they could go to a candy store. But tonight we're talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the movie, the motion picture from 1971. This will be our second hour talking about it. Oh, boy, you're in for a treat you could sleep to. Because I'm full of pointless meanders and superfluous tangents. Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here to put you to sleep because you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a friend in the deep, dark night. That's me applying for the role to keep you company and take your mind off stuff so you can get that sleep you need. Your life is more manageable. I make this show because I love making it and because I've been there in the deep, dark night. So happy to be here. If you're new, this show is a bit different. It does take some getting used to. So just see how it goes. I'm just here to help and to keep you company. What we got coming up is support, then a long, meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime. And then we'll talk about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the motion picture. I don't know why I love saying that lately, but it just makes me laugh. I have no idea why. There was Star Trek, the motion picture, and there was something else, the motion picture. Those are the only ones I can think of. And it wasn't Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the motion picture, because that's a more than a mouthful of chocolate. But what do I say? But some part of my brain literally just said of celluloid. And I said, thanks. Maybe that part of my brain could be a wonk. It's not. It's wonking on my door. So anyway, see how it goes. I'll be here for over an hour to keep you company as you fall asleep. Welcome to Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And here's a couple of ways we're able to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here, and I know you might be getting ready. You're getting in bed, you're getting comfortable. If you fall asleep fast, it's critical you listen. If you fall asleep fast, this show's kind of designed to put people to sleep over a 20 or 30-minute period, but that's great. You're an exception to the rule. You fall asleep fast. That is awesome. But we need people who fall asleep fast to support the show. There's just no other way for us to pay the bills. And I don't know if you're the one I'm trying to get through to that's listening to me, that's hearing me right now for the first time, you're making that connection. Holy cow, I fall asleep in 5 minutes. I never thought about what it takes to make this show. I never thought about that it needs my support. Or maybe you're one of the people rooting for that person. Man, I hope that person's out there that's going to support the show because it makes my life better. I just can't support the show. But I know there's someone out there who is. Like Tiffany Y, who said, just because you could get something for free doesn't mean you should. I know if I have trouble sleeping, I just have to listen. I'll be out in no time. That's definitely worth a few dollars a month. I'm pretty sure if you try it out and you fall asleep fast, you're going to have a great experience. And you could do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. But like I said, if you're not in a place to support the show right now, you've decided you're not going to support the show, then Root With Me is that fall asleep fast listener listening and hearing me right now. We just happen to catch you and we're rooting for you. Root for them together because we need your support. Are you hearing us cheer for you and you say, wait, no, that is me. That is me. Just like Tiffany. I had no idea. Of course I want to support the show. It's changed my life so much for the better. So if you're that person, you'll be the hero, the heroine, the champion we're looking for, that we're rooting for, because you're not alone. We're all rooting for one another together here in the deep, dark night. Thanks. Everybody, it's Scoots here, and this is part 2 of unexpectedly a 2-part episode. So settle in as I'm going to be talking about the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the 1970s film. Because I started like in typical Sleep With Me fashion. Though I don't know if it's ever happened with Tale of the Tape. But I never got to the movie. I talked about it for about 55 minutes or something. And, well, I got to the movie. I just didn't get to the Willy Wonka. We got as far as the Chocolate Factory. No, actually, we got as far as outside of the Chocolate Factory. So when we last left off in part 1, this is called a Tale of the Tape episode where I try to remember the plot of a movie that was that I saw a lot at some point in my life and had a major impact on me. And so in the first episode, I kind of talked about how and when and why this film had an impact on me. And then I started to remember the movie. Now, this is the Gene Wilder version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And the parts I remembered so far was Charlie, I don't know if his name's Charlie Bucket or that's some Dickensian character. But there's Charlie, his grandfather, Charlie's mother, and Charlie's other grandparents. They all live together. Charlie's goes to school, sells newspapers. Charlie's mom works very hard. And it's also in the town they live in. There's a gigantic chocolate factory shrouded in mystery. At some point, I guess I don't think I talked about this. I don't remember why. I think, because there's so many secret methods of producing chocolate that Willy Wonka said to Willy Wonka's staff, like, I'm replacing you with beings from another world and that can keep secrets and that are going to, like, live here or something. And so the factory was sealed from the public forever, but the chocolate was still loved or beloved by children and adults. But then I guess, I don't know if it was ever established that Wonka was looking for an heir or someone to take over. Also, these are based on books that I never read and I know absolutely nothing about. And there was another movie, and we talked about it in part 1. And I don't think I'll remember. I mean, maybe if we have time, I'll talk about that movie and what I remember of it. But most of the time I watched that movie was before I got sober. So this is a movie I saw as a kid before I had discovered things that would make trouble in my life. I don't think I've ever seen John August's. I think that one is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where this one's called Willy Wonka. And maybe the only thing I remember is, what's it? Oh no, it wasn't Christopher Plummer. Was it Christopher Plummer in that movie? Or is it, Christopher Lee? I think it's Christopher Lee and not Christopher Plummer. In fact, now I can hear Christopher Lee's voice. So I'm pretty sure Christopher Lee's in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as Charlie's father. But we're talking about Willy Wonka. So, what happened was, in the last one we covered, Willy Wonka has this contest, golden tickets. If you have a golden ticket, you as a child and an adult guest can come tour the factory. Slugworth. That's what I don't think I remembered that. There's also, I think I forgot to talk about that. There's also a mysterious character called Slugworth, who apparently is Willy Wonka's main rival, who's looking to pay children that go on the tour to get the Slugworth any sort of like industrial espionage, I guess. I mean, that's what it is. So there's a mysterious figure, Slugworth. And of course, Charlie and his family could use the money. Like, I don't know how much money Slugworth's offering, but enough to change lives. And so they go, and it's the day of the thing. And then everybody, it's a big deal worldwide. It's a big deal. And there's these group of kids that we'll catch back up with as they enter the house or the factory. Willy Wonka welcomes them. It's kind of spectacular. Though in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I remember it was much more spectacular. And, or like, I remember there's some sort of clockwork, animated, like show. I might have to rewatch that. But so then they go into the factory, they have to sign a waiver. And this is kind of where we left off. There's also, like, when they talking about a series of scenes versus a coherent movie, for my brain, this is more of a series of scenes than, I mean, because it's not really, well, I don't know. It is really just a series of scenes from there on out. But so movie starts, okay, movie started like 40 minutes ago, probably 20 minutes ago. Okay, so they go in, there's this thing about signing the waiver, because it's very, again, like, I think this is kind of done to be entertaining, but it's like, there's a lot of stuff you can't read, et cetera, et cetera. And then a couple of the parents are like, I don't know about this, but the kids are like, dude, he's like, yeah, if you don't sign the waiver, you can't go in on the tour. And so they say, like, most of the kids say, okay, we're going in. Then they go into like a room that keeps getting small, like a optical illusion hallway. one of those hallways where it's like one person standing on one side looks tall, one person does not. And the hallway seems like it's shrinking, and a lot of cool optical. I mean, that's just a cool effect. And then, this is probably, this is the most, in a good way, as far as suspension of your disbelief. What type of situation would you want to be in? And a musical number. So I think there's been the Candyman and Charlie's Mother's song. I don't know if there was any other songs. Maybe there's like, I don't know if maybe Charlie's grandfather sang like getting up out of bed, dragged a comb across. Oh no, that's it. But like, so I don't know how many songs there's been, but this is definitely one of the biggest numbers of the movie. I don't know anything about the history of the song, but it's definitely been covered a lot of times in a lot of different ways. But so basically, they're in this hallway, everybody's bumping into each other, and then I think there's even like a little secret code or a key or something, and then this door opens, and it opens into a factory, like that's indoor outdoors, so it has a conservatory feel. It does feel like a conservatory, like a gigantic. So it's very like there's wrought iron. This is just what I remember, of course. There's brown brick. There's a lot of natural light, or seemingly, and the music starts, and it's like "Come with me to a world of pure imagination" is the song, and eventually you start off seeing that again. Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, has a bit of an edge. He's someone that most people would say, "I'm not sure about that guy." Like especially any kids would be like, yeah, I don't know about that guy. Like, he's intriguing to me. But yeah, I'm going to need, like, the kids wouldn't say no. They'd say, hey, I'm going to need you to hold your hand while we hang out with this Willy Wonka. And he's definitely seems to not like kids that don't follow his rules already, because he wants everybody to walk, but no one to walk in front of him. And I just remember that being like, I don't know, just seeing the strictest. And then he lets the kids go, and they get released into this garden, and everything in the garden is edible candies that are also flowers. I mean, presumably an illusion somehow, but like there's giant melon, like everything's edible teacup flowers. And it really is a wonderland, a world of pure, I mean, but it's not imagination. And it's the way the song is sung. I think it is one of the big moments in the movie, or why it stayed with me. Is I don't know. It's just sung in a very deliberate way that's enjoyable, but it has some other elements to it. I don't know if it has any foreboding elements. I would say that just Gene Wilder's manner as Willy Wonka's foreboding. But so basically we get this long sequence of singing and activity and kids eating and frolicking and just eating tons of candy, like, and the parents or the adult figures reverting for the most part. So they're reverting to a childlike attitude of eating candy and play. And then at some point, the first boy and his mom, they run afoul. And I don't know if there was a rule already expressed because I wasn't paying attention, but I think it was like, don't go anywhere near the river. There's a chocolate river. Maybe that's the centerpiece when they walk in. They say, oh yeah, it's a real river. It helps mix and aerate the chocolate. There's a chocolate waterfall, but it's chocolate to be used in candy, so you can't touch it. I mean, that's basically the gist of it. But it is a little watery. Like, so it looks like Yoo-Hoo, to be honest. And as a kid, I was a big Yoo-Hoo fan. I mean, I would only occasionally have Yoo-Hoo, so I think that's why. But like Yoo-Hoo was not an aspirational. It was another drink I associated with New York City. Even though the times I had Yoo-Hoo was normally when we'd be in Pulaski, New York in the wintertime, and there would be like a kind of a food stand for fishermen, winter fishermen, and we would go to it, and I would get a Yoo-Hoo there. For some reason, not a hot chocolate, but a Yoo-Hoo. Or I guess it would be the fall, the autumn, which would still be cold. But so, okay, so this kid, Augustus Gloop, he goes and starts drinking. He loves chocolate. That's his character's thing. Augustus Gloop, chocolate lover. So he, in some sense, he may have been Willy Wonka's biggest fan. Yeah, because like the next person that appreciates candy would be Violet Beauregard, because Mike TV and Veruca Salt, like they don't. I mean, I guess Charlie, but Charlie likes. I mean, he's a kid, but so this Augustus Gloop, he starts drinking out of the chocolate river. He decides to splish splash take a bath in there, and basically Willy Wonka says, hey, now you got to dry off. Like, we can't have you dripping chocolate everywhere around this place. Also, now you've gotten, this is chocolate that was for, consumption. So now we've got a, real deal, like, it's not good. And I don't know if there was ever a rule expressed, but if you break the rules, you get kicked out. But that's definitely the case. So, but he says, like, okay. And this is where at some point, maybe even before this, we meet the Oompa Loompas, who are the people that work at Charlie's Chocolate Factory. And I don't know when we learn their backstory, or not Charlie's, whatever, Wonka's, Wonka Candy Works. I don't know what they call it. But so we sing these Oompa Loompas. Now they sing songs, which are very catchy, but they also, this is the most one of the things that's like, because again, this was already dated when I saw it, but dated in a way that captures an era very clearly and profoundly. So the Oompa Loompas like have like usually like a, not an animated sequence, but kind of like a music video each time. And they sing the moral of the song, which is like that one, why would you drink out of a chocolate river you're not supposed to? Why would you take a bath in there? Loompa-dee-doo. I've got another lesson for you. What do you get when you do stuff you're not supposed to? You'll get no. Oh, that's the Mike TV one stuck with me the most because I watch so much TV. Not that I related to Mike TV, never liked him. But so Augustus Gloop and his mom are basically asked to leave, but first they have to get dried off and take, then they're like, we got to wash your clothes or give you something else. So Wonka's not happy about it. But the kids and everybody, they were just in the middle of this fantastic real life fantasy sequence. And so they say, that's like a thing that, I don't know, it takes them out of it. Then they say, basically Wonka says, yeah, that's what happens. Like you see Wonka's ice cold in some sense. Like a very all or nothing, like he lacks empathy and compassion, I'd say, for the most part. And so then he says, okay, now we're going to go for this boat ride to this other section of the factory or something. I think this is what happens next. And again, setting an era, this boat ride is absolutely bonkers. And I know they redid it in the movie in a different way, the new movie, but I do have like, something else associated with this. So again, this was like the 70s, I think, or maybe it was the late 60s when this movie came out. And they go through a boat ride through a tunnel where it just starts to show all this art. These movies on the tunnel wall that kind of create visions for the kids. And it's very, to say trippy would be, that's the way you describe it. But also in a way that, again, does have some meanace like to it, where you're like, what is this is not what this would be the first point other than overall Wonka's mannerisms, because even the Augustus Gloop thing you'd probably write off. You'd be like, well, they did break the rules, and sounds like Wonka's taking care of them, going to wash their clothes, and then you're right, the kids shouldn't have been messing in the chocolate river. He told us not to. Or common sense would say, if this is chocolate for consumption, that you shouldn't stick your hand in there. But this boat ride, any adult would be like, okay, but like, and I think it's actually Mike TV's mom And she actually sometimes is the voice of reason that I'm remembering. And Charlie's dad's more the voice of caution, or Charlie's uncle or grandfather. But the mom, Mike TV's mom, she's the one that actually speaks out. I mean, the other people do, but she's more speaks out like, this is so whack. Like, and I don't know if this is one of these moments when she does that, but she says, I mean, basically, she's like, this boat ride's nuts, man. This is just my memory. And the other thing I remember about the boat ride was at one point, so again, you would associate this, like this was before 420 was a thing. So I don't know I mean, I wasn't alive during the 60s, in the 70s. I wasn't partying like this. So I wasn't even doing that during the 80s. But it's like, I don't know what kind of partying people did where this would be the boat ride you'd go on. But I do know that at Sylvan Beach, when I was a child, they had an indoor scrambler ride. And the indoor scrambler ride, so Scrambler is a fairly dull ride that you see at a lot of fairs and stuff like that. It's just you sit in this, and I went on it once last summer or 2 summers ago, and I said, oh yeah, I don't like Scramblers. Now as a full-fledged adult. But this one at this Sylvan Beach, which was a small amusement park, they figured out, they put the Scrambler indoors. And then they had projections like this, and then they would play strobe lights, and they would turn the lights out. So it was like a scrambler for people who were pre-scrambled, or kids that were just like, this is so, like as kids, I never understood it. And I didn't realize that it was marketed towards, teens or whatever, or young adults. But I said, there's something about this strangeness, surreality, I guess. I don't know if any of it's surreal. I mean, the Oompa Loompas stuff might be surreal. But anyway, like that type of strange reality, like that the two things were very similar. I mean, it wasn't the same movie projections as Willy Wonka, but it was these kind of projections where he'd say, whoa, man. But then occasionally he'd say, whoa, man, I don't need to see like whatever, like an ant farm. Like, this is too close, man. I don't, ant farm's not for me right now. Okay, so go on this boat ride. Everyone is like, what the heck? There's even a close-up because Wonka's like reading a poem while the boat's going on. That's like, so his mood, I forgot about this. His mood is like where you're like, what the heck? Like, he kind of goes into this strange poetry fugue state. And there's different projections on him or lighting. And it's it's definitely worth seeing. It's just off. Like, I mean, it's awesome for the film because it does give the film nuance in some sense. Because you say, like, I mean, I would have probably been like, can we get the heck out of here? Like, I don't like, what do we get? A lifetime of chocolate? Like, so just weird boat ride. Okay, they get off the boat ride, and then they start going into different like laboratories, like candy laboratories, I think. And I don't ever remember what order they're in, but some of them that I remember, and this may have been earlier, is like lickable wallpaper. So there's like wallpaper that tastes like different things, like it's kind of like scratch and sniff. And so everybody's like, holy cow, like this, tastes like banana. Oh yeah, this tastes like mostly positive things. But there's like, I think there's like, yeah, biscuits and, whatever, beans and toast. So they go there, then they go to like this machine that's a lot of like not steampunky, but like almost steampunky, like, so it's a super like trippy machine, makes like steam and weird noises. And that's producing everlasting gobstoppers, which was like, I guess like, what were they called? Like it's candy you put in your mouth that lasts forever. And everybody's like, this is madness, man. Like, why would you want to do a candy that will last forever? And Wonka, says, because I can or something. I don't know. Says, because I wanted to find out if I could. But he gives each kid an everlasting gobstopper. Now, those were different. As a kid, when I was a kid, you could buy everlasting gobstoppers. Thing was, they didn't last forever, but they did as you sucked on them. They were like, oh, what do they call them? Like, they're like like not hard candy. They have a term, not great for your jaws candies. Or there's an album who said, like, Olivia Rodrigo had Sour, but there's somebody else that had an album that was named after this. I don't know who though. But so the gobstoppers when I was a kid, they had a smiley face, but like each layer changed colors and flavor, and then you got to like a tart center. These ones I don't remember if any kids consume them, but Charlie puts one in his pocket. Yeah, that was a gift. So that's like Wonka's like, this is your gift, one piece of candy that's going to last forever. Which again is important because basically Slugworth says, if you give me anything outside that factory, especially experimental candy, this is cutting edge stuff. I'll pay you a bunch of dough. Okay, so Charlie does that. Then I'm pretty sure the next thing is they go into a room and this is another experimental room where they're working on new gum flavors. Now, we've already established that Violet Beauregard is a big gum enthusiast. Like, she has trying to get the world record for gum, like chewing one piece of gum. So this room is like the gum labs or something. And apparently they're working on a new gum that's like a 7-course meal or something. But again, Wonka says, no touching without my permission or something. I don't know. Don't touch any of this stuff unless I give it to you. But she hears about this gum and basically is like, I'm going to try it. And he says, don't try it. And she says, I got to try it. He says, it's experimental. And then at some point you see again, and I like this one, where he's like, please don't, please stop. Like, he's like, I've already warned you, so I'm not going to try to stop you. So she takes this thing. I think it comes out of like another machine that's like shooting steam and stuff like that. Oh, because they're putting all the ingredients in there. But he says it's not complete, hasn't been, fully worked out all the kinks. And so she turns into a blueberry because blueberry pie is what's for desserts. But first she goes through all that, like it goes fine until dessert. Like she's like, oh, this is delicious, roast duck or whatever. Oh, this is nothing more than kids love than a plate of over-steamed vegetables. But then she gets a blueberry pie. She turns into a blueberry. And then the Oompa Loompas come and they sing their song, like about chewing too much gum or whatever. And how there's a moral, like whatever it is. If it said don't take the gum, don't take the gum. So they take her and her father because they go, we got to take her down to the drain. We got to figure out the juicing room. We got to juice her because she's a blueberry and then she'll be back to a normal kid again. And her father's very comedic, his style of character is like a very put upon, overwhelmed, semi-neurotic guy. So he was entertaining to watch, having to deal with that situation. Okay, so I think that's who her father was. Okay, so she's gone. Then I think at some point in this sequence, there's this other room with fizzy lifting drink, which I guess is another thing Wonka's working on that can make you float. And maybe everybody gets to try it, but maybe not. But Charlie's grandfather, I think, is the one who does it, not Charlie. He says, yo, let's take a swig of this stuff. And it's like the carbonation makes you burp. And every time you burp, maybe you hiccup. I don't know. Like you float. And I don't know. Maybe burps bring you up and hiccups bring you down, or hiccups bring you up and burps bring you down. But they drink the stuff and they start floating to the top of this room that's kind of like a jet engine testing facility or something, where there's this giant fan at the top. And they're like, oh, no, we're going to go out the top. It's not going to work out great for us. But then they figure out the burping. They figure out the technique of using it. and then they come back down. And somehow they rejoin the tour without it getting noticed. And I think that's that whole sequence, right? I can't remember anything else. So that's like the fizzy lifting drink sequence. Then, trying to think if I'm missing anything, but I don't think so. Okay, then they go into a room that's full of geese. And I think they're making like some sort of magical Easter eggs or golden eggs or golden chocolate eggs. And the geese are really cute. And this is where Violet or Veruca, so with Veruca, she decides she wants her. Oh, wait, so everybody sings a song? Did Violet Beauregard sing a song? Or I don't know if they did, but Veruca sings a song, and it's really, really good. And I can't remember the song right off the top of my head. It's something about getting my way, basically. And because she says, I want my own, like, it's really good. Like, she takes the petals off a flower. It's just a really good performance and a good song. I just am, unfortunately, I can't remember anything about. I mean, I remember more of the performance. So she says, I want it now. That's what it is. I want it now. So she basically is like, I want one of these geese. And they're like, Wonka's like, the geese aren't for sale. They're like special geese to lay chocolate, golden chocolate eggs. And it's not like I could just come up with new ones. Also, it's part of my business. Now, Veruca's part of the series. She's not royalty. There's no royals in this. But she's like seriously rich. Her dad's like some sort of industrialist. So he says, just say the word, Wonka, however much, I'll just pay you. And he goes to the geese, again, the geese aren't for sale. And so she basically sings a song about how she gets what she wants. She gets what she wants. But she's going to be the one that's gone. And then she goes down the egg, like where the geese lay the eggs. There's like a chute to deliver the eggs to the proper place. Oh, no, there's a place that tests the eggs to make sure they're right. So she gets tested, and it says, like there's a thing, that, like a scale that weighs the eggs and says, oh, this is the correct, to sort the eggs by grams or something, whatever, some sort of metric stuff. And so she goes down the chute. So their dad's like, where is she? Oh, also, when Wonka wants the Oompa Loompas and they don't appear just to sing, he uses kind of like a pitch pipe, which I thought was a cool flourish. But so he calls the dad's like, where is he? And then he uses his pitch pipe, and then Oompa Loompa comes. He says, where's she go? Goes, oh, trash facility. The dad says, trash facility. And I think the dad ends up jumping in there himself after he's like, where is she? So then Wonka goes, go get them. And then at this point, too, Grandpa, what's his name's not Grandpa Ed. That was my grandpa, but not Grandpa Charlie. I can't remember the grandpa's name. Grandpa Joe. He says, yo, what are you doing, man? Like, these are little kids. Like, and Wonka's like, you know what? Mind your P's and Q's. Okay, then there's like a sequence, like, and I'm pretty sure everybody's involved that's left, which is just Mike TV's mom, Charlie, and Grandpa, not Grandpa Ed, but Grandpa Joe, and Willy Wonka. But then they go on this wild machine, like a foam producing. I have no idea what the purpose of the machine was either. And they go like it's very trippy. It's this giant foam, like I guess I don't remember much about it. It seems super high tech. Had a bunch of wheels and moving parts, and it produced tons and tons of copious foam, I guess presumably to clean something. And I'm pretty sure, again, this is when Mike TV's mom, she has fun with this. but maybe not. But it does seem like a brief moment of joy where they're having fun. And I can't really remember anything else about it. Then there's a sequence with Mike TV where they go into this like serious tech lab where the Oompa Loompas are actively working on like a candy teleportation device. Now, for some reason, I think it's like a future device where it will teleport the candy into your television so you could purchase it and then take the candy out of the TV, because that's what Willy Wonka does, and it's a cool effect. But that the sizing's off, and that in order to do that, you need like a giant candy bar, because when you transfer it to a regular TV, and these are the old cathode ray tube TVs, like when you do that, then the thing shrinks. But Mike TV's obsessed with TV, so he demands to go on TV and be transferred, like teleported. Even though they went through the basics of it, they're like, yeah, it's not meant to do that, and it's meant to move candy. He says, this is it. I'm Mike TV. I'm meant to be a star or whatever. And Willy Wonka's basically like, whatever, man. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. And I'm not sure exactly what I had against Mike TV. Maybe he reminded me of somebody, but I definitely like, he's dressed like a cowboy. He's like the most American, like, not like, he's just like this TV watching. Maybe it was just related too much because I watch so much TV. But so he gets teleported because they're using some sort of TV technology to teleport people or candy. But he, again, just like the candy bar, he goes from a large size to a small size. So then he becomes like an action figure sized kid. And again, this is really stretching the effects. And I haven't watched the movie in a while, but I'd have to wonder what how those effects work. But his mom's like, so then he we'll bring him to the taffy stretching room and we'll stretch him. And that's the one with the Oompa Loompas, the song, like, what do you get when you watch too much TV? A mind full of something and an IQ of 3. And then they sing, you'll get no commercials. Those are the lyrics that stuck with me the longest. But yeah, so what do you call it? So like the Oompa Loompas sing about that, then Mike's gone. And then, I mean, this is what a way to set up the ending of a film, at least in my opinion. That rings true. And I mean, I don't think this movie's like, I don't know what like critical regard for this film is or the watchability of it, because I haven't really watched it in a long time. And I mean, it's mostly steeped in nostalgia. But basically, then the tour's over. And again, we see the side of Wonka, and he's ice cold. Like, basically, he says, okay, well, nice giving you the tour, and that's it. And hope you had fun, and we'll see you later. And they're like, wait, like he literally just ends the tour. Like, I mean, this is something I would do almost, like if I, but again, it pays off. And he gives this speech where he even reads off the thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They say, what's the problem? Like, Uncle, is he Uncle Bob? No, that's not his name. Grandpa Joe says, what in the, you just like brought us through this strange experience. And now you're like kicking us out of here, and you're not even going to, like, he literally just sits down in his office. Also, we see that everything in the office, I think, is cut in half. So it's just bizarre. Like, there is like this surreality to it there. And he says, well, did you or did you not like take the fizzy lifting drink and touch the walls? And, that has to be cleaned and all that. And, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a famous repeated line. He goes, good day, sir. And then he says, what? Like, Grandpa Joe's outraged. He's like, you're an awful man, basically. And he says, I said, good day, sir. I said, this is just how I remember it. But he also knows, like, he's still testing Charlie, which is what gets paid off because Charlie's, like, he's looking for someone, I guess that's both assertive and good-hearted. I mean, again, if someone was to test me in this way, I'd say, yeah, I don't want I don't want it. I guess I get tested this way a lot with the podcast, but it's more on message to message thing. But so Grandpa Joe speaks like how most people would be feeling, and then Charlie goes to leave, and he goes, he realizes he still has the gobstopper, which he could sell to Slugworth. And he's also ultimately rejecting everything that Willy Wonka kind of stands for, I would think. And he gives the like gobstopper back, and he says, basically, dude, thanks for the tour. Like, but yeah, I'm not going to sell this to Slugworth, but also like this, your candy, your candy and your attitude leave a bad taste in my mouth. And then, I mean, and again, well, I do think it's Gene Wilder. Like, he's able to change his, like, manner. Like, he just changes so quickly from, like, this person you would say, I mean, literally be like, I think Grandpa Joe said it, like, almost like, your behavior repulses me, Willy Wonka, to, like, this soft-hearted thing where he's like, and he does it with his eyes, I think, and his smile. But he says, oh, Charlie, like, I knew you were the one. And then he's so soft and kind. And he's like, basically, like, I've been looking for someone to take over for me, but someone that's going to take care of the Oompa Loompas. Because basically they used to live in some place where people, like, there was some sort of like thing with the wildlife there. And the wildlife and the Oompa Loompas didn't get along. So they had to move here. And whoever takes over for me has got to work, take care of the Oompa Loompas, take care of the candy. I don't know. I mean, maybe there could have been a little bit more in the sense of like, and maybe this is what they did in the other movie where it's like, dude, what is your problem? Like, because me just taking over the factory is not going to change whatever's going on with you. Because, Wonka, you need to you need to get somebody, things need to, you're like, it can't be happy for you or anyone associated with you when you can have these extreme changes in your behavior, but that doesn't happen. But Charlie basically, he says, you're it, Charlie. And then they go in this magical elevator, which doesn't have a lot to do with anything, but I guess it's part of the books or something. And they just get in this magical elevator. I guess maybe there's some sort of plot point. I have no idea. And it shoots out of the top of the factory, blows the top of the factory off. Like, and again, this is like this beautiful, created and sure with painting and stuff, like factory, like that has tons of wrought iron and glass. And they shoot out the top, and then they're in some sort of space age flying device. Like a flying elevator. I don't know if that's one of the books, Charlie and the Flying Elevator. I think it is. And they're flying over like wherever they live, which isn't London, but and I mean the good thing is he's like, you'll take a salary, and I don't know if they're gonna live there. I mean, Grandpa Joe's probably like, dude, like I'm on Charlie, and you like glue now because. So that's basic. Those are the basics of what I remember. But we do have a few minutes, so let's check the songs and let's see what I got right, what I got wrong here. First of all, is it Willy Wonka or Willy? That's not how you spell it. Okay, 1971. I know I checked some of this before, but it's a 1971 film. So yeah, 60s, 70s. I know I read some of this stuff, but let's go through the songs and the plot. Okay, it was based on Roald Dahl's 64 book, and it's been played by, Timothy Chalamet. There's going to be another one? Holy cow, that'll be interesting. Okay, oh, interesting. I wonder who's directing that. But yeah, he's portrayed in films multiple times. Let's go straight to this movie. 71 American musical fantasy film. Mel Stewart. Charlie Bucket. Okay. Peter Ostrom. Found a golden ticket. Gets to visit the thing. And let's see. Wolper Pictures and Quaker Oats Company were the production companies. 100 minutes. Budget of $3 million. Did $4 million at the box office. Filmed in Munich. Okay, so yeah. Oh wait, we did some of this. The Candyman. Okay, yeah. Charlie Bucket. This is all from Wikipedia. Poor paperboy looks inside a candy shop. Can't afford the sweets. Then he sees the factory, and a tinker tells him nobody goes in and out. Oh, Grandpa Joe tells him that the Wonka had shut down the factory because the rival candy places were getting his recipes, and it's still locked. Then Wonka announces he has 5 golden tickets hidden in candy bars, and they'll get a factory tour and a lifetime supply of chocolate. And Augustus Gloop, Veruca Salt, Violet Beauregard, and Mike TV. And then, yeah, you see another man whispering to the kids on TV as they win. Then, there's a fake of somebody that won. But then Charlie gets a bar from Grandpa Joe, doesn't have it. Then he finds a quarter or whatever and does find it, buys a candy bar, gets it. That's Slugworth, who goes up to him, offers him a cash reward. Oh, for the everlasting gobstopper. Then he goes home, picks Grandpa Joe, who's excitedly jumps out of bed for the first time in 20 years. Then Wonka greets the ticket winners. So this is all the first episode we did. Chocolate room, a whimsical indoor park with a river of chocolate and other sweets. And that's where we see the Oompa Loompas. Then each child has a flaw, which causes them to give in to temptation. Augustus touches the water. Violet takes the gum. Veruca demands a goose. Mike goes on the TV thing. The Oompa Loompas sing a song of morality after each child. Charlie and Joe do the fizzy lifting drink. So I did. Burping allows them to go down. The drink makes them float up. Okay, at the end of the tour, he says, don't worry. They say, what about the other kids? He says, they're fine. And then he retreats to his office without awarding them the lifetime supply of chocolate. When they ask him about it, he informs them they broke the contract after stealing fizzy lifting drinks, forfeiting the prize. Charlie returns the everlasting gobstopper instead of selling it to Slugworth, and they call Charlie the winner. The offer to buy the gobstopper was a morality test for the winners. Only Charlie passed. Then they get in the Wonkavator, a multi-directional glass elevator, and fly out of the factory. And reception. Film received generally positive reviews. Ebert said 4 out of 4 stars. Best film of its sort since Wizard of Oz, according to Ebert. Delightfully funny and has a bit of SCARY, work of imagination. Let's see if we can find the soundtrack. Music. Okay, what do we got here? The original score was by Leslie Barracusa and Anthony Newley. Candyman, originally recorded by Sammy Davis Jr., or when it was recorded, re-recorded the song. No, Sammy Davis Jr. recorded the song. Became a #1 hit. Let's see, the 21st. So you got Pure Golden Ticket. Oh, I Got a Golden Ticket. That was another song. Then The Candyman, Charlie's Paper Run, Cheer Up Charlie, Lucky Charlie, I've Got a Golden Ticket, Pure Imagination, Oompa Loompa, Wondrous Boat Ride, Everlasting Gobstoppers Oompa Loompa, The Bubble Machine, I Want It Now, Wonka Mobile, Wonka Vision, Oompa Loompa, and then Wonka Vader. Let's see, what other thing? It's been referenced in many different TV shows and animated shows. And there's been a lot of covers of the song. And even there's a meme condescending Wonka. Oh, yeah, that's a famous one where he's looking at you. I forgot about that one. Tell me again about dipping your elbows in milk. I don't know what he would say, though. I'm not good at writing memes. But it's one where his shoulders, his elbows on something. He's staring with that very Gene Wilder smile that says way more than, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." It says, "I'm not listening." Casting. Trying to think of if there's any notes in casting. Not really. Okay, there's Breaker Confections, a subsidiary of Quaker Oats, wanted to introduce, they were like, "Oh, wait a second, we could do this." And they renamed it Willy Wonka Candy Company. It was sold to Nestle's at some point. And they bought the rights to the book and financed the picture for promoting the Wonka bar. Wow. Interesting stuff. Wolper decided with Stewart that the film would be a musical. Approached Richard Rodgers and Henry Mancini, who declined. Let's see. Gene Wonka wanted specific changes to Wonka's costume, including trousers and the color and cut of the jacket, placement of the pockets. Wilder's attention to detail also requested, "The hat is terrific, but 2 inches shorter would make it better." They tried Fred Astaire, Joel Grey, Ron Moody, John Pertwee, Spike Mulligan. Peter Sellers even begged for the role. All six members of Monty Python expressed interest in playing Wonka, but they were deemed not big enough names for an international audience. Joel Grey was in the lead, and other people auditioned in New York. And by the end of the week, Wilder walked in. It was then that Stewart and producer David L. Wolper realized they could stop looking. The role fit him tighter than one of Jacques Cousteau's wetsuits. They were captivated by Wilder's humor. His inflection was perfect, sardonic edge, and they were looking for. And then they tried to hide their eagerness to help in their negotiations. When Wilder was cast as Wonka, he accepted the role. When I first made a first interest, I decided to come out the door carrying a cane and walk towards the crowd with a limp. As the crowd sees this, they all get quiet, and then I roll. So he wanted to do that thing and have the applause. And they said, "Why?" And he said, and he goes, Wilder answered, "From that time on, no one will know if I'm lying or telling the truth." Wilder said he was adamant and he would decline the role otherwise. Gene Stapleton turned down the role of Miss TV. Jim Backus was considered the role of Sam Beauregard. Sammy Davis Jr. wanted to be the candy store owner, but he was too big of a star. Let's see. Anthony Newley also wanted, but he was also too big a star at the time, I guess. And hundreds of children auditioned. Filming began in August of 70, and ended in November of 70. They found a Guinness brewery in Ireland, a chocolate factory in Spain, and a massive chocolate room at Bavaria Studios, but then also shooting locations in Munich, Bavaria, external shots in Munich. So there's a lot more about it, but yes, interesting movie, and I guess even more interesting that it took me 2 hours to try to remember it. But yeah, good night. Thanks, and good night, everybody. All right, I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently. I want to thank Joe, Owen, and Megan. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Julia, Victoria, and Melanie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Aaliyah, Susan, and Natalie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Sheila, Ray, and Beth. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Hawa, Stephanie, and Jason. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Jeannie, Bellamy, and XP. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Mary, Kate, and Lise. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Marley, AP, and LL. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Cindy, Tamar, and Matt. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Catherine, Jeremy, and Megan. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And Toby, Terry, and Chad. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks to everybody who supports the show on Patreon. Podcast exists because people support the show directly or support our sponsors. But we grow this podcast by people just spreading the word, which we also couldn't, it wouldn't exist without that. So thanks to everybody who spreads the word about the show. I really appreciate it. And thanks, and good night, everybody. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots, and this is a Tuck You In message. I don't know if you've been listening to episode after episode, or you just woke up, you're drifting in and out, but this is also a reminder the show is always here for you, as it has been since 2013. But I need to talk, just you and me. We got to talk for a minute if you're listening to me and hearing me right now. And you might have heard me talking about this before, but I do want to spell this out, that Sleep With Me, all of the funding to make Sleep With Me, everything that pays all of our bills and the costs of producing the show, 99% of that comes from listeners. We don't get any funding from outside sources like, or other entertainment companies or companies, companies like music streaming companies or video streaming companies. We don't have any investors. And there's no other like secret pipeline of support for Sleep With Me or almost every other podcast either. We get some money from sponsors that are direct response, meaning they base their sponsorship on the listeners that support them. A tiny bit from automated ads. But the majority of what keeps the show going comes from the people who get the most out of the podcast. Super listeners, ideally. And I don't know if you're a super listener. I don't know if you already made the decision you're not in a position to support the show. That's okay. Or you made the decision you're not going to support the show. That's okay, too. You could still take a part in this coming right up here. But if you didn't make one of those two decisions, we need support. Support from the people who benefit the most from the podcast. People that fall asleep fast. People that listen all night long. If we don't get more all-night listeners and people who fall asleep fast, the podcast won't be around. But we also need support from people that listen 3-4 nights a week, people who have listened for a year or longer. And I'm just wondering if you're in one of those groups. The podcast has changed your life for the better, and it continues to change your life for better. And I'm trying to lay out the stakes without using kind of fear or stress, because while that is effective, right? The last round this month, I tried to use a more positive message, and we actually lost subscribers. But it's so tiring for me. It's almost like I'd rather lose the podcast than kind of keep having to do this sales pitch and say, well, if the podcast is going to go away, if that's the only way to get people to support the show, I don't know, it's really, really not fun for me. So instead of, the stakes are there. If you haven't decided and the podcast has changed your life for the better, the stakes are, we need some of you, maybe it's you, to support the show, or it won't be around. But instead of focusing on that, I want to talk about rooting, about sending positive energy, rooting in the deep dark night. I've been talking about this in the intro for years. And that's what I believe in. I believe in rooting for other people to get a good night's sleep. And maybe you're here, maybe you stuck around because someone out there, somebody who was struggling in the deep dark night just like you, was rooting for you. And you could feel that welcome when you got here. Or maybe you're one of those people who roots for other people who are struggling in the deep dark night. And here's what a couple people who did sign up in the last round of messaging said. Tiffany Y said, just because you can get something for free doesn't mean you should. I know if I have trouble for sleeping, I just have to listen. I'll be out in no time. That is definitely worth a few dollars a month. And Michelle F. said, this show is like cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia and a sleep aid all in one. I also consider it an art form, and I believe in compensating artists for their work. Timothy T. said, I'm a full-time caregiver, and the person I care for discovered your podcast, and we really like the ad-free content. It makes it easier to listen to. And then John R., who said, I'm a super listener, said, I had no idea how urgent it was. I'd been meaning to support the show, but I just never took the time. I realize now I've been unintentionally voting now. So I subscribed and with feeling. So what I'm asking is, are you the one person everybody else is rooting for? Like, just to overcome whatever it is, putting it off or saying it doesn't matter, it matters, or somebody else is going to do it, or are you the person we're rooting for to support the show? Now, it's okay if you're not. Maybe you're rooting for yourself to get a good night's sleep as soon as this episode, maybe you're an all-night listener. Maybe you woke up and you're looking forward to falling asleep soon. If you are a super listener, we did build Sleep With Me Plus with you in mind. Ad-free episodes, ad-free story-only episodes, tons of different cool stuff. So I don't know if you're rooting for yourself, think about supporting the show on Sleep With Me Plus just so you get a better listening experience. But maybe you're rooting for somebody else out there. Maybe it's somebody this month, which we're rooting for, is people going back to school or who are impacted by the back-to-school season. It could be teachers, it could be parents, it could be students, it could be anybody dealing with increased traffic. Whatever it is, this beginning of this transitional season affects a lot of people. And we're rooting for all those people, whether they listen to the show or not. Or whether they're a super listener or a cat. They say, well, I just needed to get through the first couple weeks of school. We're rooting for all of them to get a good night's sleep. So you could root for those people. You could root for someone whose sleep struggles are just like yours, or you could receive the rooting, because I hope you can feel it right now. I'm rooting for you, but a bunch of other people are rooting for you right now across the world. But if you're the one we're rooting for that's like, yeah, I've been putting it off. Yes, Sleep With Me continues to change my life for the better. We're rooting for you to support the show. So they'll be around, not just for you, for every other person we're rooting for. You could do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus, because we need support, right? And you might be thinking someone else will do it. But what if, as has been said in the last couple months, time after time, what if that someone else is you, right? You're the someone else. Well, if you're that person, we're cheering you on here. Don't let that resistance, and I know what the resistance feels like. I put it off. I say it doesn't matter. I say I'll do it tomorrow. Then I criticize myself. But just do it and see how it feels. And again, you could always cancel during the free trial or cancel after a month or two. But I'm so proud of the show. And this is how I want to try to get support for the show. If it doesn't work, I don't know what I'll do. But I'm going to keep trying this more positive but honest message where everybody can participate. And everybody can participate in giving and receiving. But it is like kind of like a needle in a haystack that we're looking for now, but we got to find it. So I don't know if you're the needle in the haystack or you're somebody snoozing in the haystack, or maybe you're a horse having a hay snack. I don't know. But thanks so much for listening, and good night.